Yes, welcome. Voices, welcome in the house. Nice. All right, we don't need Gilligan's Island. Okay, welcome, guys. I have been shutting the door. Well, you are. He doesn't want to. Get off. Okay. Woo! Rabid bird. Salty indeed. Bit me. Sorry, didn't mean to flip you guys off. Okay. Hello, Tinta Mama. Love you too. Love you guys too. This is great. All right. We are going to have an amazing show tonight. I'm really excited because we've been building up to this. This is the chapter. And yeah, there's a few chapters after that. Of course, it's going to be interesting and intriguing. This is the one we're all speculating about, talking about, thinking about. This is the night. And this is OJ's description, and these are his words. We're going to do the chapter. And we're finally going to listen to the corresponding interview, the second half, where he talks about the murders. And he forgets to tell you it's hypothetical for a minute. You guys will see what I'm talking about. Yes, party people. Let's go. All right, so yeah, he was. That's for real. Okay, you guys want to see this? Let's do it. Might as well do it. I'll grab the book and cue up.
Tale of fateful crime that started from his Brentwood house, then up the 405. OJ was a mighty running back. His lawyers had some style. They thought that it would only be a 3-month trial. A 3-month trial. Then Marcia started getting rough. She knew she must not fail. With all his lawyers, OJ could go free, or maybe rot in jail. Or maybe rot in jail. So now they're in the courtroom, and they'll stay there for a while. There's OJ, Judge Ito too, some billionaire, and the night, a movie star. We started Van Vernon here at OJ's Trial.
Okay, that's the one that got me knocked off last time. We cannot play that. All right. I think I will start with the beginning of the chapter. We'll jump right in. Let's just show a couple of comments. I always forget to do that. Gathering voices in the house. Why, thank you. Mwah. Hello, hello, hello. We are party people. The bird is crazy. He freaked out. Oh, I gotta let the dog in. Sorry. It's a zoo! All right. I got straight home from the Del Mar Fairgrounds just now. You know, San Diego, the Del Mar Fairgrounds is also the Del Mar Racetrack. And in the month of July, mostly, end of June, it turns into a fair. I did have fair food. It was great. I pulled in here like, I don't know, 7:17. Like, I'm going to be late. Let's go, let's go. All right. Here we go. We did chapter 5, things fall apart. And now chapter 6, the night in question. I figured we'd alternate between reading the book and then watching his confession. And one more thing, I actually clipped for you guys the crime scene reconstruction, and I messed with it a lot. So I think I can get away with this. Let's do it really quick. We'll do it again later, but I want to put it up first so you can have the replay in your head before we read it and see how it compares to his recount. So this will be really key. This was used at prosecution. It was put together by the prosecution, and it was based on the ME data. Of course,
You're seeing an overhead aerial shot of the Bundy Drive.
of course, the defense had some other things to say, but this was like top technology then. We saw this in the Alec Murdaugh case and things like that, but let's see. RJ says OJ wasn't in the Bronco. Okay.
You're seeing an overhead aerial shot of the Bundy Drive geometry of this section of town where you can see there's a number of condos side by side. This area is where the murder occurs. In reality, it's covered up with trees. There are steps and a gate and a dirt area beside the front entryway and a patio. But we took the tree out so you could see that. Now we're going to put the tree in because the night of the murder, the tree provides incredible shade and it's extremely dark in this area. At this point, Mr. Goldman comes up to the gate, punches it, and rings the doorbell. Nicole Simpson leaves her condo, and she actually leaves the front door ajar to come down and open the gate. There's obviously a speakerphone, and she knows who her visitor is. Literally, the assailant has to come from the patio area, or the physical arrangements of the subjects make no sense. The way he attacks them immobilizes them both. He hits the right side of Mr. Goldman's face with his left hand, and does so very hard. There's a substantial bruise on the right side of his face. Simultaneously, or very soon thereafter, we believe the assailant hits Nicole Simpson on the left side of her face with the butt of his knife, the pommel. And that knocks her right side of her head into the wall. We believe that knocks her out, which enables the assailant now to come down and deal with the number one threat, which is the young, able, and in pretty good shape Mr. Goldman. We postulate that he puts the point of the knife behind Mr. Goldman's head and actually uses the knife like a fork with his hand over the mouth to raise Mr. Goldman to his feet. It's obvious from the medical evidence that the assailant has a hand over Mr. Goldman's mouth, is having a talk with Mr. Goldman, and is emphasizing his points with the knife. The next fatal blow received by Mr. Goldman is...
So I was thinking, how can they tell they're talking? Well, because there were nicks in his throat that suggested, along with, I guess, other evidence that is beyond me to reconstruct. I was never in forensics criminology. I did the psychological stuff. But apparently, as he's got him around the neck, he's holding the knife and he's holding him in place because over a period of time, there's multiple nicks. And I believe that's how they're reconstructing the idea that he was talking to them. And we see this on both of them, that before there's a slicing, there's the shallow cutting. RJ thinks that Mr. Goldman was killed outside the gate and then brought in. I mean, there's obviously postulating in this reconstruction. They're guessing, and we know, at least we can pretty much presume, that the prosecution did not have all the information, and they didn't have as much ability to extrapolate from the physical data as they do now from a crime scene. But let's keep going, and I'll pin the rest of RJ's comments here.
It's a plunge right over his heart, hitting him in the left side of his torso. Another thrust, again from the back, upwards under the rib cage, which is also a fatal thrust. And he takes a final knife blow in this side, another fatal wound. And we postulate he falls away into the fence. We see abrasion marks down the back of his scalp, which we believe is a result of falling down the fence. And then he falls over, and that is literally the position he is found by the police the next morning. The assailant is now free to turn his...
So, looking at how close he is to the gate, head wounds bleed massively. Could he not have bled beyond the gate, and that's why pools would be found outside? I mean, did he have to be outside for his blood to get outside? If you think about how much blood there was, I don't know that is necessarily a requirement of that theory. So I'm sure they took that into account. Many think Ron was Keith. I think that at first OJ thought Ron was Keith.
Attention to Nicole. The assailant uses the same technique to lift her as he does Mr. Goldman. Hand over mouth, most important. It's clear again that the assailant is talking to Nicole Simpson. The reason we know this is before the final fatal cut of her throat, there are 3 other small cuts on her throat, parallel to where the fatal blow is going to be administered. It's clearly, again, torture. The final cut across her throat is going to be delivered with her head cocked substantially back. And the strength in that cut is enormous. And by that I mean she is going to receive a single slice to the front of the throat that is going to be so deep it is going to nick her spinal cord. Unlike our animation, which has got enough light level for you to see what's going on, in the real scene, this was very, very dark, and it's a dark wool cap. He's trying to feel for the wool cap. He can't feel anything through the gloves. He has to take the gloves off to feel for the wool cap. By taking off both gloves and not being careful about it, he actually ends up leaving a glove behind and not retrieving the wool cap. We speculate that something disturbed him in his search and cut it short, whether it be a dog barking or some neighbor's voice or something. When the investigators arrive, they're going to find Nicole's body in this position, Mr. Goldman's in this one. They're going to find the knit skull cap here. They're going to find a glove very close by it, Mr. Goldman's pager, and his keys are all going to be found in these relative positions.
For this animation, failure investigators used evidence presented in court, autopsy reports, and detailed data they gathered from the scene of the murders.
The medical evidence is literally the most important to establishing this scenario of the crime. The choreography, the movement of the characters through the scene, has been driven by the medical evidence because the choreography has to produce the wounds and they have to be produced in a certain order.
All right, so we get a little insight on what the evidence showed, at least the prosecution's version on what the evidence showed. Now let's see how OJ sells us on how this night went down. And as we do, keep in mind his general tone, his whether or not he's selling versus telling, meaning does he set up a narrative and give you a bunch of reasons why something makes sense before he tells you the facts, or does he just tell you the facts? Things like that. Let's pay attention to that. Also watch when passive voice turns to active voice, and watch when pronouns start to disappear. Her instead of Nicole. Things like that. And watch his eyes. The direction that they're looking down to the video's flipped. I can never quite, I can't tell you which direction he's actually looking. But looking down tends to be an emotional place. Most likely we see it coming from an emotional place and an actual memory. Looking up can be trying to remember, searching for a memory. Eyes darting in different directions can be a frantic searching. Some body language analysts call this app flipping, like quickly flipping through apps or just flipping through screens. And another thing we see a lot in him is eyebrows being raised is when he's trying to look for an acknowledgement in the interviewer. He does super awkward laughs, and he does a really good fake smile and really good, fake jovial persona. But he's extremely uncomfortable, and a lot of his laughter is the disconnect and is dealing with his cognitive dissonance. That's what I believe. Okay. All right. Welcome, Lotus, in the house. Lotus says, OJ was the embodiment of pure, unadulterated, heinous, horrific evil. Well, he's certainly a poster boy, if you believe this, for an asshole who follows all the check boxes of an abusive paramour who ends up killing their spouse. And he sure gives us a roadmap to what he's thinking, if it's true. All right, the night in question. Page 117. Grab your tea, go pee, whatever you need to do. This is going to get really crazy very soon. And trigger warning, this is brutal. Okay. Okay, so RJ thinks the cap and the gloves belong to someone else. We'll explore that further as well. Okay. I was in a lousy mood after the recital. I was exhausted and not looking forward to getting on another plane. But most of all, I was upset about my brief conversation with Ron Fishman. Ron is the partner of Cora, I believe, friends in their group. And if you remember, chapter 5 ended with the night of the kids' recital, where OJ did not invite Paula because he didn't want to upset Nicole. And Paula dumped him. And then after all that, he asks to go to dinner with them and he denies this. But the parents and sister claim that when he asked to go to dinner after the recital, Nicole said no. Why? They went to dinner at the Mezzaluna, which is the Italian restaurant owned by Keith, who Nicole was dating, or at least who was her lover. And one of the employees at the Mezzaluna was, you got it, Ron Goldman. So that's where we end that night, where OJ, Ron Fishman, Cora Fishman's husband, right? Do you have that right? So OJ is pissed as hell because he gets dumped by his girlfriend Paula, and now his ex-wife's cut him off, and he's not even getting invited to the recital for the event he got dumped for. So he goes from having 2 options to no options, and he's pissed. Okay. That's where we end. He's telling you, though, that he's mad because he hears from this Ron Fishman that Nicole's into drugs and she's partying and she's getting into trouble and it's bad with the girls, etc., etc. He already walked us through that, but he's going to reference it again. And OJ blames all of his rage. I should say he assigns all of his anger to a paternal rage at concern for his kids, but I don't think it can all be ascribed to that. And I think he's reaching, and we all probably believe that. Okay. I was exhausted and not looking forward to getting on another plane. But most of all, I was upset about my brief conversation with Ron Fishman. I didn't like what Ron had said about Nicole and the girls. We don't know the half of it, quote unquote. The half I did know about was bad enough, but Ron seemed to think it was worse than either of us imagined. I also thought back to my conversation with Cora, Ron's wife, and felt a twinge of guilt. I'd pretty much given up on Nicole, but she was still the mother of my kids. I had to do something. If not for her, for them. Oh, he did it all for the kids, right? For a few moments, sitting there in my living room, I wondered if I should threaten to fight her for custody. The idea was not to take the kids away from her. I knew that would destroy her, but to shake her up so badly that she'd finally start trying to get her shit together. The girl was an accident waiting to happen. As I was thinking about that possibility, Cato showed up. He was carrying a towel and a magazine and asked if he could use the jacuzzi. Remember, Cato is living with OJ because when, I believe when Nicole, something about tax reason. What was their tax reason? Anyway, I think she kicked him out just to annoy her, OJ had him move in. He claims she asked him to, but I doubt that because he never explains the falling out, other than he was supposed to be watching the kids and he wasn't. Right? I think it was something about there wasn't a room for him. It was a maid's room or something weird, but he didn't do the work. Okay. Sure, I said. How was the recital? Fine. Did you talk to Nicole? I went out of my way not to talk to her. I said, you look bummed, man. What happened? Nothing, I said. The shit's endless. You should have seen the skirt she was wearing. She thinks she's still a teenager. Can I ask you something? Cato said. Why is Nicole so fucking mad at me? I didn't want to get into it. All that business about Cato living rent-free without doing anything to earn it. So I told him not to worry. You know how she is. I said, she puts her anger and craziness on everyone else. Okay, so is she imagining that he talks shit about her and that he advocates for others and sides with her nemesis? Is she imagining that? Or is that what he's doing here? Well, also he's pissed at her, so of course they're going to commiserate. That might be normal. I don't know. But they're talking shit on how she's dressed. All right. Can I ask? Okay. I noticed the magazine in his hand. It was the current issue of Playboy. Cato flipped it open and showed me one of the girls inside. He said he knew her and he could introduce me. But I wasn't interested. He went off to get into the jacuzzi, and I found myself thinking about a Raiders cheerleader I'd known some years back. She looked a little like that girl in Playboy. I dug up her number and called, and then when the machine picked up, I left a message. Hey, it's me, OJ. I wanted to see how you were doing and to tell you that I'm a free man. Totally free man. Do you find that wording odd right before, hours before his wife is found dead? I'm not just a free man, I'm a totally free man. Let's go back to the comments. Ron Fishman was married to Cora Fishman. Right. And Cora was Nicole's bestie. Cora was feeding OJ info on Nicole. Traitor. Cora stayed friends with OJ after the murder. He does talk about that. Yeah. And yet all this shit he's talking about her. Yes, he is. First words OJ hears after he died. Hello, OJ. We've been expecting you. That's funny, Justice. Yeah, probably. Okay, we have Kenneth right here who believes OJ Simpson's innocent. We welcome all opinions. Attack ideas, not people, and come and bring your perspectives. I would like to hear, Kenneth, if you stay around for a little bit, I'd love to hear your take on OJ's interview when he talks about the murders themselves. Yeah, I'm wondering, welcoming the opinion of why do you believe that? And if you believe that, actually forget why. How do you explain the way he talks about it? Does it sit right in your gut? Okay, that's my question. So let's maybe think about that and please share. Mark Twain, it's easier to fool someone than convince them they have been fooled. Oh, real justice. Isn't that true? That's a great quote. Love it, love it. Granted, Simpson was a jerk to Nicole. Okay, yeah, Kenneth, or can I call you Ken? I'm not sure. Mr. Right? Yeah, he was. He's a total jerk, and that comes through in this book. But being a jerk doesn't make you a murderer. Okay, I'll grant you that. Yet, I've seen the footage. I don't know if you've seen the rest of the interview, but we're going to break on the reading in just a moment and play some of the corresponding interview. For those of you who don't know, this book, real quick overview, it was commissioned by a Fox exec named Judith Wright. Fox owns a major publishing company. I believe it's Harper Publishing. And they also, of course, own Fox Entertainment, which is their news channel. So this publisher, she goes to OJ and she says, I'll give you $1 million if you write a tell-all confession and you do an interview. Can't do half. One doesn't count. You only get the money after you do both. But then, of course, the Goldmans were pissed. They didn't want him getting money. They took him to court. They called up Robert Murdoch. The news was just having a field day, and they pulled the book. They banned the book for 12 years thereafter until the Goldmans acquired the legal rights to the book. The book was not published, and the interview was never shown. So this might be new information for some folks. So very close to switching to his interview. Okay, a little further on finishing this page here. Call me, right? He says to the cheerleader, call me. I hung up and realized that I really did feel kind of free, but the feeling only lasted a few moments. I found myself thinking about Nicole again, and then about Paula, and I was pissed at Nicole. And Paula was pissed at me because of Nicole. Maybe I should have taken Paula to the reception. I had tried to be respectful of Nicole and the Browns, but once again, I got bit in the ass for my efforts. I went into my home office and I started getting some of my things together for my trip. I noticed I only had about $100 bills, and I knew I needed a few fives for the airport sky caps. So I went out to see if Cato had any change. He was already done with the jacuzzi, which he'd left running, and I turned it off and went by the guest house. Cato, man, please try to remember to turn the jacuzzi off when you get out. Did I forget to turn it off? He asked. Man, I used to wonder if the guy was all there. Yeah, Cato, you forgot to turn it off. See how he discredits people systematically? Yo, yo, yo. Jack, welcome. Did OJ still get paid? Good question. Yeah, he got paid. He did get paid. In fact, he created a shell organization. It's in here, but I forget the acronym. It's a series of letters or an acronym that stands for his kids' names. The shell led to a shell, to a shell, to a shell, to a shell, and ultimately it all funneled back to OJ. He got about $750,000 out of the $1 million. Okay, that's what he got personally. Gathering Voices said, asshole doesn't mean murder necessarily. She was kind of a hoe anyway, just saying. Oh, well, thumbs down, man. She was kind of a hoe anyway. Slut shaming, not cool. All right. The book idea was Arnell's. She never got paid. I don't know if she did, but yeah, the money was indeed supposed to go to the, OJ said it was supposed to go to the kids, but I think what happened is it went to a bunch of creditors and they just siphoned it off, but he did receive the money. And Arnell, I believe, was supposed to be the beneficiary on that. Yeah, it was. It was a great question, Jack. And Gathering Voices, I know that you were being snarky on that. But it really bothers me how much OJ slut shames. That's why you're being sarcastic about it. Yeah, I want to bring that up. It really bothers me. Yeah. She was an accident waiting to happen because she wore a short skirt. Fucking asshole. I'm sorry. OJ had to do it because the courts are completely in a woman's favor and don't care about men at all. Well, I think that that is what he was thinking. I think he was thinking about custody. And he tells you right there, he doesn't want to fight her in custody. It would be nicer for him if she went away. Right? Jack only asks the best questions. Pussycat hates OJ. Yeah. Okay. So we have some innocent people who believe he's innocent. We have some people who hate him. Have some people who are curious. I love our group tonight. So Mama mentioned this in a. Whoops. The dog is quaking my camera again. Sorry. We gotta wait this out. Mama mentioned that the night after our last live, I had a gnarly dream about OJ. I was like, I guess I was Nicole at some point, and in my dream, I was with him and I was like cuddling up to him, and I could completely see and feel what a likable, charismatic guy he was. We've been talking about that, and in my dream, I was her, and I was feeling as I think I imagined she felt. And I was yeah, it was. He has explanations for that which don't fit too. So anyway, let's keep going. I'm babbling. Oh my God, I love that. We're getting to a good part. I held a C note and asked if he could break it. I was just talking to Cato here. But all he had was 20s. I borrowed one and I told him I'd pay him back. If I need it, I said. I just realized I haven't eaten anything and I'm going to run over to McDonald's. Can I go with you? He said. Sure, I said, but hurry up. I'm pressed for time. We took the Bentley and ordered at the drive-through window. I ate my burger on the ride back. Cato saved his for later. I was busy eating, so I didn't talk much, and I found myself thinking back to the recital and how cute Sydney had looked up on stage, doing her little dance number. It put me in a dark mood. The last few times I'd called Nicole to try to get the kids, which I often did on the spur of the moment, she'd gone out of her way to make it hard for me. She always found some reason not to let me take them. The kids are tired. They've just eaten. They've had enough excitement for one day. I couldn't understand it. She didn't even want me to see my own kids. It seemed like she was making everything as difficult as possible for me. It's true that they say about never really knowing another person. Nicole wasn't even Nicole anymore. She was a complete stranger to me. I finished the burger and felt lousy. It had gone down wrong. And when we got back to the house, I went inside and started packing, laying some of my things out on the bed. Then I went to the to the garage to get my golf clubs. There were a few dead balls in the bag, so I set them on the driveway and chipped them into the neighbor's yard. I couldn't seem to stop thinking about Nicole, though. Usually when I pick up a golf club, the world disappears. That's one of the things I like about the sport. But this time, I couldn't get her out of my head. I remember thinking, that woman is going to be the death of me. It was probably around 9:30 by then. You know what I'm going to do real quick? I'm going to remove. There we go. Hi. Not that you want to see me this close, but it was probably around 9:30 by then. I figured Nicole and the kids and the Browns had finished dinner and gone their separate ways. As I found out later, they went to they'd eaten at the Mezzaluna, an Italian place on San Vicente Boulevard in the heart of Brentwood. Nicole's mother, Judy, had left her glasses at the restaurant, and she'd called Nicole, who called the restaurant, and learned they found the glasses. Nicole was told that Ron Goldman was just finishing his shift waiting tables, and that he would be happy to drop them at the Bundy condo when he was done. I knew none of this, of course. None of this had anything to do with my life. Not then, anyway. There was a super racist cop, Mark Furman, who may or may not have planted blood. It's not a stretch. I talked to an attorney on this question, and they said if as a jury member, you believe that somebody is guilty, but the cop also planted evidence to make sure that they were guilty, it's been so tainted that in the system, you have to acquit. And that, I think, is what happened. That's a huge part of what happened. And it's not that far-fetched that a cop, at least at that point, would be like, this guy's guilty of sin, we better pay him, but we need his blood over there. That would close the deal. Let's do it to close the deal, to put this guy away. Maybe doesn't believe he was a bad person to do it. Right? Just saying, this is a sliding slope. This is how people convince themselves that what they're doing is okay, that the ends justify the means. So OJ says that the blood in the Bronco came from a cut on his hand. And there's this theory that when he was holding Ron around the neck and cutting with that knife with the other hand, that he cut into his own finger. And then later, when he got to Chicago and he got a call from the cops, he crushed a glass in his hand because he was so pissed, and it reopened the cut. That seems to be like agreed upon facts. As Pussycat, he was a very selfish man, and that comes through in the way he talks. It's me, 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 me. And I always hesitate to say this, I explain, because I don't throw it around lightly, but he was a very narcissistic man before that was a trendy. Okay, so our Real Justice disagrees. I would exclude that evidence. If there's still evidence that proves guilt, you vote guilty. So there's a jury instruction in both civil and criminal court that can be included to the jury that the judge would read. And it says, if you conclude that a witness has lied about one thing, you do not have to, but may disregard their entire testimony. Right? So anyway, this is, I don't actually work in criminal law. I work in civil. But if I did work in criminal, believe it or not, I'd probably be on the defense side. Okay. Real Justice. No, left hand middle finger cut on the glove because OJ wasn't wearing those gloves. Or no, right. Okay, so, right, I'm familiar with that idea, but it's not in this part, so we're gonna keep looking at what he's presenting. I wanna really separate out our beliefs from the image that he's presenting so we can compare and contrast them. Okay, good point, Pussycat. The Rodney King incident had just happened 3 years before. And for those of you who maybe are a little younger than me, there was a gentleman named Rodney King who was pulled out of his vehicle and beaten viciously. There were by police, a whole squad of police. I feel like it was kind of similar to the Derek Chauvin case in the sense that it mobilized the nation, but Mr. King did not die. And the cops who did it were acquitted. And LA rioted. It just broke into a riot. They were burning buildings. They were breaking into police stations. They were burning tires, just taking over the city. It lasted for days, the riots. And it was really a turning point. And so this is fresh in everyone's mind here in Los Angeles when this trial is going on. And now you have a racist cop on the stand who gets exposed for planting evidence and calling OJ the N-word. And I don't mean narcissist. Okay, Jack says our star athletes have been told their whole lives that they're special and more important. Arthur, can you scratch somewhere else, dude? Hey, Arthur. He doesn't want to be anywhere else. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a God complex with a guy that's so big and so loved, and then the core of his social group. Oh my God, new meaning to the word body count, doesn't it? Ah, it does. Prosecution sucked on that case too. Yeah, it's hard to watch a case that seems to us so obvious it should be a slam dunk. I'm kind of scared of that with Brian Koberger. I'm a little scared that that's going to happen with Koberger. Okay. Oops, I meant to. Yeah. Okay, that was Jack. Pussycat says, he said Charlie was there, his friend OJ said. Yeah, exactly. And that's in this chapter that we're going to read. It's also in the interview. Okay, so I kind of want to pause at a part that makes sense so we cover the whole chunk before we do a video chunk on the same topic. I held out a C note and asked if he could break it, but all Cato had was 20s. I borrowed one and told him I'd pay him back. I need it, I said. I just realized I haven't eaten anything and I'm going to run over to McDonald's. Okay, but can I go with you? I remember thinking that woman's going to be the death of me. Ron was still finishing his shift. Here we are. I set the golf club stuff aside and fished out my cell phone and called Paula from the driveway. Either she wasn't home or she wasn't answering. I think it was the latter. I'd called her several times that day to apologize for not taking her to the recital, and it looked like she was determined to punish me. There, it's all about him. Maybe she just doesn't want to talk to him. Maybe she's not trying to punish him. Maybe she's just sick of it, right? Hell, for all I knew, she was already thinking about moving on. Projection much? He's the guy that doesn't go a single day single. If that was actually the case, I had Nicole to thank for it. The lesson here was simple. It doesn't always pay to do the right thing, especially if you're doing it for people who don't give a fuck about you. Suddenly, I felt exhausted. I was getting old. I could hardly walk anymore. I'd been told recently that I would eventually have to have both knees rebuilt. Plus, the arthritis was killing me. I was on medication, and there were days when my hands hurt so much I couldn't pick up a fucking spoon. Poor me, pity me. I couldn't have killed these people because I have arthritis. Not the idea? Okay, Lotus says, OJ did say Charlie was there. Yeah. We're going to hear all about it. Gathering voices. Typical for an ex-wife. They do anything they can to make it difficult on the man, and the court supports them. And that's how we end up with an OJ. I think historically the courts have been very preferential toward women and toward the mother. We see less of that now. But that is often how you end up with an OJ, is when the system gets involved and gets in the middle of families. It doesn't get more personal. Right? That's when it gets very volatile. Real Justice says OJ made 2-stage timeline alibis to Paula at 10:03 on his way home from Nicole's after the murders. Murders occurred at 9:59. He did seem quite aware of trying to set up alibi activities very close before and after. And that is an argument I hear cited frequently from those who believe that he's innocent. Kenneth, if you're still with us, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. But it's like, hey, could I have been that cool and collected if I just murdered someone? I don't think so. Look what I did right before. Look what I did right after. But that's a big assumption to make, that he can't be, he can't do both. And he was great at performing under stress. We know that about OJ. Okay, we're almost there. I parked my ass on the low wall near the front door, feeling whipped. I was trying to figure out how it had come to this. I'd been somebody once. I had my glory days on the playing field, a number of high-paying corporate gigs, many years as a football analyst, and even something of a career as a Hollywood actor. It wasn't over, not by a long shot, but everything seemed more difficult now. It was a little like that business in Alice in Wonderland, where she has to run twice as fast to stay in place. But hey, if that's what it took, that's what I'd do. You don't get anywhere in this crazy world unless you fight for it. And I was willing to fight for it. Still, it seemed like every day took a little more energy, and Nicole was sapping a lot of my goddamn energy. That got me thinking about family, the meaning of family, and specifically my own family. My mother and father were separated when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and we 4 kids, me, my brother, my 2 sisters, we stayed with my mother. She worked in San Francisco hospital for 30 years, put food on the table, kept a clean house. My father stayed in the picture, though. The marriage hadn't worked out, but that was an important lesson for me. When a marriage falls apart, it doesn't give either parent an excuse to disappear. You have to be there for your kids. That way, the way my parents saw it, life wasn't about them anymore. It was about the 4 children they'd brought into the world. And because they felt so strongly about their responsibilities, they made it work. They talked on the phone every day, but it was never about their own shit. It was always about the kids. And whenever there was a problem, they handled it together. It was a question of discipline, though. My father took care of it. And when I say take care of it, I mean he took care of it. In those days, there was whoopings, and everyone knew it. You don't go crying to child welfare or any of that shit. Because 9 out of 10 times, if you got a whooping, you almost certainly deserved it. Hell, I know I did. Then one day, I was 16 years old. The old man and I had a little falling out. My mother called him to say I'd been disrespectful to my sister. And he came by the house and called me into the living room and asked me to tell him what had happened. I told him. And in my version of the story, which I firmly believed, my sister had done wrong. My father didn't buy it, though. He told me to go to my room, and I knew I was supposed to go in there and wait for him to come in and deliver the whoopings. But as I waited, I decided I wasn't going to get a whooping. I didn't deserve it, and there was no reason in hell I was going to let him raise his hand to me. When he came into my room, I told him straight, "You're not going to whoop me," I said. "What did you say, boy?" "You heard me," I said. "You're wrong this time. You try to whoop me, I'll kick your ass." It was pretty tense. I had defied him, and he didn't like it one bit. But he could see things had changed. I was almost as big as he was by then, and I knew I could take him. And so did he, I guess. I left my room without saying a word, or he left my room without saying a word to me, angry as hell. And for the next 10 years, we didn't talk to each other. That's right. We went 10 years without speaking. He would come over and hang out, and we even sat at the same table. We even sat at the same Christmas table together, but we never spoke. And everyone knew we didn't speak. It was like family lore. The boy defied him, and they haven't spoken a word to each other in years. A decade later, when I was married to Marguerite, and with my marriage already in trouble, he was at my house in Los Angeles celebrating Thanksgiving with the family, and I turned to him and said something about the football game. And the whole room went silent. It was like I could hear my own heart beating. Everybody was staring at us. He talked to him. Did you hear that? OJ talked to him. And my father just answered, like it was the most natural thing in the world, like our decade of silence had never happened. And that was the day we started talking again. I think on some level, I had always blamed him for my parents' marriage not working out. And over the years, I'd come to see slowly that maybe I'd been hasty about passing judgment. I'd simply assumed that he was the bad guy, but I had nothing to back it up. And while he'd been there for me as a father, I guess I was still angry at him. Because I wanted what every kid wants, both parents together under one roof. Now, here it was years later with my own marriage failing. And I began to see that there was really two sides to every story. And maybe my father wasn't such a bad guy after all. I'm not suggesting I was fully conscious of this, mind you, but I believe that on that Thanksgiving afternoon, with my own marriage in trouble, I began to see that I'd been pretty hard on him. And that whatever else had happened, he'd always been there for us kids. That was an important lesson for me that night, sitting on the low wall in front of my house, my stomach rumbling. Thinking about all this, it hit me with a weird sort of clarity. If you fuck up your marriage, you try not to fuck up your kids. Let's take a quick break. It's in the book, If I Did It. It is. This book, the one we're reading right here, it is in the book. Okay. Gathering Voices. How about if a cop lies about a thing? I'm sorry. How about if How about if a cop lies about a thing, it doesn't count because we know they're allowed and encouraged to lie regularly to get confessions. They are. That's true. I think there are a lot of complicated rules of court. That's what attorneys are for. That's why you want to talk to an attorney before you talk to a cop. You end up in the little room, don't talk. I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer. The 4 words you say. That's it. Hey, Shanetta, welcome. How rude. 10 years. Yeah. 10 years they went without talking. Be surprised what family can do, man. Peace, ceasefire, right? Yes. It's me, Salty, aka Jen. By the way, I'm so happy you guys are here. Welcome. Welcome, replay crew. Welcome live. Again, those of you who died, and welcome. Hi, Kat. Randall. LOL, I didn't really care. It's late night here, and I could put this on a loop for a great bedtime story. Yeah, really. Thanks. I'm glad you're here. That's cool. Although, heed my warning. You may have a nightmare that you're Nicole and you're with OJ, like I did after the last live. It was intense, and I'm scared tonight. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, we're in chapter 6, the night in question, which is the night of the murders, where he goes over the details. Yeah, the voices. Hey, there's a SWAT raid going on across the street from where I am right now. I'm gonna take a video and send it to you, Jen. Do it! Do it! Do it! Where the hell are you? Don't say that on live. Don't say that. That's how you get swatted. Okay. Can't wait to see the footage. San Diego, man. Okay, Shanetta. I told her the other day that I took a tour of the famous Brentwood locations. I went to Nicole's house. I saw exactly where Nicole lay. It was so gross. I was disgusted with myself. Why with yourself, Shanetta? You didn't kill her. You're a witness to her experience, and that's a kind of an honor, I believe. I mean, we're not here just to talk gossip, to get glory out of it. We're here to honor the truth of these victims. At least that's the idea to try to do, right? And understand what really happened. Keep reading. What a great set of pipes. You're awesome. Oh, me? Yeah, but we're going to switch back and forth. We're going to see his actual interview. We're going to hear him talking about this, and then I'll keep reading. So you guys bear with me. And my voice needs a little break between. Hi. Yeah. Thanks, Lotus. He does. Yeah. Okay, so Shanna says, I was disgusted thinking Nicole's murder spot was a tourist attraction. Okay, only you know if the intentions you went with in your heart, like to be a tourist and have salacious experience, or to like try to understand what happened. But true crime tourism is a real thing. People just get on a trip, on a plane and go to Idaho to see the Idaho student murder house. And it's gory and macabre, but it's true. It is a thing. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is actually its natural state. I do sometimes dye it, but this is a natural shade. SWAT team, like they come out with, guns and shields and stuff and like scopes and a raid or something. Who jumped Nicole's gate? I'm not sure I got that. Oh, you're talking to Shanetta. Okay. Shanetta, when I went to Rockingham, there was a bunch of people and reporters outside. All of a sudden, the gate opened. It was so scary. Everyone thought it was OJ. Oh, my God. Who was it? I will give you guys my email. If you want to email, my email is windeater@gmail.com. That's WYNDEATER@gmail.com. I'm going to put it in the comments. Send me email. That's fine. I welcome your emails. Send me stuff. That would be awesome. And there you go. It's in the comments. Said it. It's I think I have it up on my YouTube too. So you guys can contact me. Also, there's a Facebook page, Salty Bird. You want to go and like our Facebook page. Oh, and if you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe. If you're new, welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay. Yeah. Stardust understands Shanae's point. Brutal and gruesome. I think I might feel the same way that we're standing there. Thanks, Kat. That's what it stands for. SWAT equals special weapons and tactics. When they come raid places, usually that's SWAT. It was an employee who opened the gate at Rockingham. Okay. So this is my email right here. Send me case stuff, send me info, send me Google Drive links, whatever you want to send me. Let me know if I can share it, and that would be awesome. Okay, cool. All right, let's see a little bit of OJ himself on this interview, and we're gonna go further. We're gonna start further than we did before. I spent a good amount of time putting this together for you with the clips. I got about half of it clipping really well. The second half, we might have to skip through a little bit. Here we go.
Nicole, now 35 years old, made a decision that the unhealthy cycle between her and OJ had to stop. On May 22nd, 3 weeks before her murder, Nicole returned an expensive birthday gift that OJ had given her, telling friends, "I broke up with him. I finally feel free. I told him I can't be bought." On June 10th, she went property hunting in Malibu, hoping to put some distance between herself and the man who wouldn't let her go. 2 days later, she would be dead. You are about to hear OJ Simpson talk about what he did on the day his ex-wife was murdered.
Let's talk about the day of June 12th, 1994.
Yeah.
Tell me about getting ready for your daughter's recital. Just take me through the day.
Kat.
It was a long week.
Kat, have you seen this video? Because I very much want to hear the opinions of the he didn't do it guys after you see his eyes when he talks about this. Tell me if you can watch this and still believe he made it up for the money. Okay, please tell me. I want to know. I'm here to know, why do you feel this way, right? This is a quest for knowledge.
I had been to 3 or 4 cities that
And a
week.
quest for mac
I
and
was
cheese.
totally exhausted. My friends in New York tried to get me to stay in New York that Friday, play golf Saturday, and then go straight to Chicago where I had to be Monday morning. But my daughter was having a recital, and I had already missed, I think the week or two before, I was out of town, and I had missed something. I forget what it was, something that my daughter was having. So I couldn't miss this. So I said, I got to be there for the recital. And I flew into town, and I just wanted to go there, see my daughter, and leave. And I talked to Nicole briefly that day. She had called and asked if I could get there early and hold seats. And I said, I don't think so, which she did. And when we got to the recital, she had actually held me a seat with her and the 2 kids, right?
There was something that you write in the book about what Nicole was wearing.
Yeah, it was almost like she was trying to be a teenager again. Dating all these much younger guys, wearing the shortest, tightest thing she was wearing.
We just read
Sometimes
about
you think
that.
something is inappropriate, but you don't say anything. Who am I to say? Tell her what to do,
Yeah.
So you're at the recital.
Yeah.
So he was late getting to the recital. She had held the seats. He flew in. He talked about that in chapter 5. Oh, did he fly in for dinner with Paula? Probably to placate her because she was pissed he wasn't going to the he wasn't taking her to the recital. Because she's like, hey, are we a thing or not? Like, are you still with Nicole? Because you've been dating both of us. Like, can you really blame her for that at that point? I don't know. Okay.
I was just exhausted, but everything was cool. And during one of the breaks, Dr. Fisherman pulled me aside, and Cora Fisherman is Nicole's best friend. His
What does that mean?
my daughter's best friend to this day. And Dr. Fisherman said, man, Juice, you won't believe what's going on. These girls, he is telling me that they had fights, and Nicole was nuts that week, right? I mean, it was like, what are these girls doing? I mean, it was just craziness, what they were saying. And I said, man, get away from them. I tell you, these girls, whatever's going on is bad, you know? And this comes right after a week previous to this. Her best friend, Cora, had come to my house in tears, begging me to do something to get Nicole away from the people she was hanging around. Somehow the prosecution didn't want that in the case, right? I don't know. I was upset. It upset me.
What kind of frame of mind are you in when you leave the recital?
I am tired.
Irritable?
I don't want to sleep. I'm irritable. When you get tired, you get irritable.
OJ Simpson never took the stand at
do.
his criminal trial and has never given an interview about his actions on the night of the murders. That is, until now. The Brown family, Nicole's parents and sisters, were also at the recital, and there were plans for a family dinner afterwards at Mezzaluna, that local Italian restaurant.
Mezzaluna.
They recall OJ asking to come along, but Nicole said no.
And you write about chipping golf balls into the neighbor's yard.
So
You write,
Catherine's
usually when I
problem
pick up golf balls, the world disappears, but this time I couldn't get her out of my head.
Yeah. I'm thinking about my kids.
First meal of the day.
What Dr. Fishman mentioned to me.
How did you shape this conversation around the hypothetical? Why hypothetical?
He felt that if he could claim that it was hypothetical at this point, he would have deniability with the children. That was what he said.
Listen closely for the next 6 uninterrupted minutes. OJ puts himself hypothetically at the scene of the crime.
The chapter 6, is called The Night in Question. And you write in the book, now picture this and keep in mind that this is
Purely
hypothetical.
hypothetical.
Yes. Why don't you tell me what might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994? And let's just walk through the night.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical. I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel. You know, they're going to, you know, whatever they want to feel. In the book, the hypothetical is
Charlie pulls that up.
Charlie. This guy Charlie shows.
Shanetta, I got them. They're cool pictures. I will download those and share. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. Okay.
The guy who I recently become friends with. And I don't know why you had been by Nicole's house.
Oh, yeah.
But it told me you wouldn't believe what's going on over there. And I remember thinking, well, whatever's going on over there has got to stop, right? So we kind of hooked up together, and you know, I'm kind of broad stroking this. We go over, get in the Bronco and go over.
Let's just go back and do the details. Where did you park?
Let's do the detail.
You park
in the hypothetical in the alley.
Right. You park in the alley.
Yeah.
And you put on a wool cap and gloves.
In the hypothetical, I put on a cap and gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
And you reached under the seat for?
A knife. I always kept a knife in the car for the crazies and stuff because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, you ain't bringing that. And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah.
I tend to doubt they were dating also.
So the back gate, you go through the back gate.
Yes.
I like that.
And it was open or broken or?
Core Fisherman is
It's a good spot to pause and catch up on the book because we've now just passed the book. Dating is not what he was doing with Nicole. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speculate as to who she was sleeping with. I mean, we've been doing that because we know Keith. But I don't know. Like, she's been exposed to so much slut shaming. Okay, so in theory, if he's protecting his daughter, he would be saying that it was his. Okay, I understand that. You're in George Anthony. So Shanetta just sent me a bunch of real cool pics of trial at Casey Anthony's trial, and Geraldo's in there too. So I have to download them to be able to share, but yeah, I'll do that. We'll share that at the end. I'll put up pictures. Okay. Yeah, a lot of filings get spelling issues. Some legal assistant or paralegal like doing it too fast, or a lawyer working at 3 a.m. Yeah, Ron did come to the front gate. We know that because it's a consistent account, and he was found by the front gate. And Nancy Grace. Wait, I missed the Nancy Grace picture. What? How did I miss that? Nancy Grace. That's great. That's great. Okay, that's real fun. All right. The glove was tested. Yeah, we're just gonna talk about him. The only thing they knew about the cat, because they didn't have a sophisticated DNA testing at this time, was that African American hairs were found in there, but they couldn't say that they were OJ's hairs. Yeah, I wonder that also. Okay. So let's go catch up now to the part he's going to talk about. Charlie. I figured Sydney and Justin would be in bed by then, over at the Bundy condo, fast asleep. I hoped so. Anyway, I wondered what their mother was doing at that moment, and I wondered what other unpleasant surprises lay in store for me and the kids. For a moment, I thought back to the night I'd surprised her at the Gretna greenhouse, going at it on the couch with her friend Keith, in the glow of 24 candles, while the kids were in the house. It made my stomach lurch. Don't get me wrong, Nicole had been a terrific mother, almost obsessive at times, but she'd been screwing up big time lately. It's strange. They say people don't change, but I say they're wrong. People change, but it's usually for the worse. Ron Fishman's words came back to haunt me. We don't know the half of it, he'd said. He was right. We didn't know shit. Nicole was on the fast track to hell, and she seemed determined to take me and the kids with her. I was kind of shocked and taken aback that he said Nicole was on the fast track to hell. That was like, if you didn't kill her, that's the most insensitive thing you could possibly say. Subtly. I guess you could be a little more crude about it. Sydney knows, maybe. I am, yes. His son, Jack, do you speak of Jason? I don't think Jason is a possibility. But I kind of do see the possibility of our now as a kind of a stretch, but maybe possible. I couldn't imagine, Shanette says, I couldn't imagine having a father who I know killed my mother and have a relationship. God, I think about that with Chad Daybell and his 6 kids, right? Or 5 kids. In each one of them, how they're kind of going through this process of making sense of it for themselves. Really, Hollyweird and DNA is going to be a factor? Yep, it's all a factor in the OJ case. I'd love to know if Sydney and Justin ever questioned their dad. Yeah, did they have a conversation on his deathbed? Who knows? Ha, Cat's tucked in, ready for story time. Okay. Wasn't there a Charlie in the Vegas robbery? Pussycat, yeah, there was. It's definitely a different Charlie. He's associated with the mob. I forget his name. We were talking about him last week, but not the same Charlie. But he does. It is interesting that he picks that name. And there are a lot of people think it is the same guy, but it's not. Oh my gosh, he emailed me footage. I can't wait to see this. Okay. Let's catch up here, though. There were 2 Charlies, in fact, in the Vegas run. Charlie's a popular mob name? I don't know. I know a couple Charlies. I would imagine that OJ would not write about either of the real Charlies in the book. I cannot imagine he would do that. The author writes in the, I think he did. I think the author did pick the name, the ghostwriter, Pablo. Pretty sure he did. Chris Todd is delusional, says RJ. Jack says one of his sons had the same shoe size and had emotional problems. Ooh, always have the best nuggets. Which son? Jack. Which son? Pussycat believes someone was there with him. I don't know what to believe about whether or not there was a second person. It sure is compelling in the story. Jason, I believe, had nothing to do with this crime. I absolutely believe he had nothing to do with it. RJ says Arnell left Jason's cap. Well, that's a lot of premeditation that we're putting on now. Like, is Arnell an evil mastermind? I don't know. That's a lot of premeditation. How would you personify this girl at this point? Okay. So Justice says that's why OJ hired a lawyer for Jason. Interesting. We're going to dig up more interviews and see what more people have to say about this cap and glove. There is a guy who claims he has all the junk, and he only came forward after OJ died because he was his PR guy and took a bunch of secret tapes. And the secret tapes are kind of interesting, but they don't prove anything about anything to do with the crime. It does seem to be compelling evidence that he doesn't eat McDonald's, though. Shawnetta, sex. That just got my attention. What are we talking about? OJ trial was amazing. Celebrity sex, drugs, infidelity, murder, complaints of police corruption. It was so scandalous. Oh, I hope you all know we're going to start streaming watch parties for the trial just as soon as we're done with this book and this interview. Like, come on. I'm going to stop here. I got to plug in my my laptop. So let's keep playing for a minute while I do that.
Nicole's best friend is my daughter's best friend to this day. And Dr. Fishman said, man, Juice, you won't believe what's going on. These girls, he is telling me that they had fights, and Nicole was nuts that week, right? I mean, it was like, what are these girls doing? I mean, it's just craziness, what they were saying. And I said, man, get away from them. I tell you, these girls, whatever's going on is bad, you know? Mm-hmm. And this comes right after a week previous to this. Her best friend, Corey, had come to my house in tears, begging me to do something to get Nicole away from the people she was hanging around. Somehow the prosecution didn't want that in the case, right? I don't know. I was upset. It upset me.
What kind of frame of mind are you in when
I'm
you're
tired.
suicidal?
I am tired.
Irritable?
I don't want to sleep. I'm irritable. When you get tired, you get irritable.
See
OJ
that big
Simpson.
laugh he does? That's trying to socialize whatever he just said into feeling more appropriate and less inappropriate. It's actually something that my father did whenever he started to realize that he was maybe standing out in an inappropriate way. He would kind of throw back his head and start laughing inappropriately and try to kind of encourage you guys to laugh too. All, as if everyone did it, then it must not have been that bad, right? But I recognize that like knee-jerk behavior in OJ. Charlie Brown? Lucy pulled the foot. Happened to lost connection. Okay. So Jack says, shit, don't know. Seriously need to catch up on Nick Rakita and his 9. Oh, seriously? You got my attention already on that. So we're doing Sarah Boone right now in our present day trial while we do the flashback on OJ. And as soon as we're done with Sarah Boone, I think we might do Apple River or maybe this guy.
Never took the stand at his criminal trial and has never given an interview about his actions on the way underground.
Oops.
Absolutely are. Taking a knife from Charlie, which I didn't like because fed up with it, I guess.
Oh, we're like here.
And stuff because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, you ain't bringing that. And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah. In the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the back gate, you go through the back gate.
Yes.
And it was open or broken or?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I go to the front and
that's
I look.
smart. I don't recall. He does recall. He's the one who broke the back gate the night when Nicole made the 911 call. He broke it. And it was broken.
See what's going on. And I can see that it appears like Nicole had candles all the time. She really did, to keep her overhead down, I think. And music was on. And while I was there, a guy shows up. You know?
So Ron Goldman comes in the back gate.
Yeah, a guy that I really didn't recognize. I may have seen him around, but I really didn't recognize him to be anyone. And in the mood I was in, I started having words with him.
He says to you, I just came by to return a pair of glasses. Judy left them at the restaurant.
Yeah, words to that effect, yes.
And
I don't know if I believed it or didn't believe it. It was pretty much immaterial because, you know, I was more concerned about everything that was going on, you know, and was fed up with it, I guess. And
you get into a fight. Nicole comes out.
A verbal
fight.
Got a little loud, and by that time, Nicole had come out, and we started having words about who is this guy, why is he here, what's going on.
And she says, this is my house, get the F out of here.
Yes, and which I didn't like because, once again, this is the same person, and if you read the book, you'll see some things that happened in the 2 weeks leading up to this that were very, very irritating, you know. And I think Charlie had followed this guy in, wanted to make sure there was no problem, and he brought the knife. As things got heated, I just remember Nicole fell and hurt herself. And this guy kind of got into a karate thing. And I said, well, you think you can kick my ass? And I remember I grabbed the knife. I do remember that portion, taking the knife from Charlie. And to be honest, After that, I don't remember, except I'm standing there and there's all kind of stuff around and
What kind of stuff?
blood and stuff around. You know, I hate to say this, but this is hypothetical. I'm sorry.
Right.
I know we got to back up again.
Right.
You
That's
know,
okay. I'm going to
but
back
this
up.
is hard. This is hard.
I know. I'm going to back
it's
up
hard
to.
to try to make people think that I'm.
I know. You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes.
Covered, you're covered, the scene. Can you describe it?
It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood. And of course, I think we've all seen the grisly pictures after. So yeah, I think everything would have been covered in blood.
And what goes through your mind at a time like that?
I don't know. It's like, what happened?
You write about removing a glove before taking the knife from Charlie.
You know, I had no conscious memory of doing that, but obviously I must have because they found the glove there.
And blacking out. Have you ever blacked out before?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
No.
And
Of course, if something like this would take place in anybody's life, if it were to happen, I would imagine it's something that you would probably automatically have trouble wrapping your mind around it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
If I had known he said this in 2006, I would not have objected to the release of this video.
Judith, who the heck is Charlie?
I don't know who Charlie is. I wanted him to talk. For me to start interrogating him and pushing him, I felt he would get more agitated, and he kept threatening to leave and not to finish the interview, and I really wanted him to stay.
I mean, he may try and describe it as a hypothetical, but of course, it becomes I did this, I felt this, I saw this. This notion of Charlie, I think Charlie is OJ. This is no hypothetical, this is reality.
Let's listen again to this disturbing portion of the interview.
I remember I grabbed a knife. I do remember that portion, taking a knife from Charlie. And to be honest, after that, I don't remember, except I'm standing there and there's all kind of stuff around and
What kind of stuff?
blood and stuff around.
I think, and Eve, I'm sorry,
He doesn't want to
but
say
I
blood.
do want to go through what the coroner says happened, because I think it's important to understand the specific details. It was not as he describes exactly. Nicole didn't fall. She was hit on the head with the handle of the knife, according to the coroner. She was stabbed 4 times in the neck as she lay on the ground. Ron Goldman arrived, runs towards her. He's grabbed by the killer, who jabs him in the face 5 times with the knife and then slits his throat. He gets loose, but there's a perimeter fence, so he's blocked. And so the killer is able to catch him again and plunges a knife into his side, and he severs his abdominal artery. There are defensive wounds on his hand, so he was trying to protect himself. And the killer alternated between the victims, pulling Nicole's head by the hair and cutting very deeply into her throat. And then going back over to Ron Goldman, who, according to the coroner, was probably dead at that point, and stabbing him. Your office described it as overkill at the time. Those
that's
details,
Cora, and she's going by Eve.
I think, matter because they go to the viciousness of what happened that night. Think this is a confession, Judith?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. How he chose to do it is the way he chose to do it, but he did it.
Members.
I'm telling you, I took off a glove. I must have left my glove there. 25 years of nonsense. And now here he is to explain to all of the naysayers and all of the doubters. That's my glove. I left it. Nobody planted it. Nobody planted it.
Let's listen again to the interview.
You write about removing a glove before taking the knife from Charlie.
You know, I had no conscious memory of doing that, but obviously I must have because they found a glove there.
OJ Simpson has already revealed staggering first-hand details about the crime scene, which he says are hypothetical.
You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes. It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood.
Then you see bloody footprints and you decide to take off.
Yes. Actually, I believe Charlie kept saying, we got to get out of here.
And in the book, you describe taking off your shoes, your pants, and your shirt and dropping it in a bundle. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, we've gotten out of ourselves. Charlie has just arrived in the book on page 124. Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, do that with Casey Anthony. That is something worth exploring. She is a hell of a head case. Right. So Charlie comes over to talk, and he thinks maybe I shouldn't say anything. And Simpson says, "What about her? You're not going to like it." He repeated, "Just tell me," I said, already riled. Before I get pissed off, Charlie took a step back, like he thought I might hit him or something. "A couple of these guys at dinner tonight, I guess they didn't know that you and I were friends," he began, tripping over his words. He began tripping over his words. They started talking about this little trip they took to Cabo a few months back. In March, I think it was. And about these girls they partied with. Yeah? Charlie took a moment. It was Nicole and her best friend, Faye. He said, "I'm listening." I said, I tried to stay calm, but I was fit to explode. We might need our candle. I feel like I need a candle. A couple more chapters. There's a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, and apparently things got pretty kinky. Why are you fucking telling me this, man? I hollered. I turned and had to fight the urge to put my fist through the Bentley's window. "I'm sorry, man. I thought you'd want to know." "Well, I don't fucking want to know. I'm sick of hearing this shit." "I'm sorry. This is the mother of my children." "I know, man. I'm sorry. That's why I told you. I thought, you two have been through a lot of shit, and I know it can't be easy." And I thought, well, maybe if you just talked to her. Talked to her? Talked to her? What the fuck was wrong with you? I've been trying to talk to her for years. She doesn't listen to me. She won't listen to me. She won't listen to her family. She won't listen to her friends. OJ, man, I'm not the enemy here. I turned around and tried to count to 10. I didn't make it. By the time I got to three, I realized that Charlie was right. He wasn't the enemy. Nicole was the enemy. I looked up at my watch. I had less than an hour before the limo showed up to take me to the airport. Just enough time to get down to the Bundy house after read her the fucking riot act and get my ass back to the house. Come on, I said, and I moved toward my Bronco. Where are we going? Just come. Charlie got in, started the Bronco, and the gate whined to life, and I pulled into the street, tires squealing against the curb. Where are we going, OJ? Charlie repeated. We're going to scare the shit out of that girl, I said. What? Now? It never fucking ends. Every time I turn around, it's something else, and none of it's pretty. This isn't a good idea, OJ. Fuck that. I'm tired of being the understanding ex-husband. I have my kids to think about. I'm asking you, man, please turn around. Woman's going to be the death of me, I said. I was seeing by this time, and I began to mimic her. Or I was seething by this time, and I began to mimic her. I want to grow as a person, OJ. I want to find myself, OJ. I'm tired of everyone seeing me as OJ Simpson's wife. I'm tired of living in your shadow. OJ, please. You want to know how crazy it got? I said, ignoring him. After the split, after she dumped me, she began calling me to tell me about the guys she was dating. Oh, OJ, do you think that they like me for me? Or do they just want me to get into my pants? And you know what I did? I told her that it's dark. I told her that she was going to have fun. I told her that she was a great girl and not to worry and just to go with her gut. Guys will be lining up around the block for you, I said. You're gorgeous and you're smart, and I know you'll pick the right guys. Is that twisted or what? I would think. What the fuck are you doing, OJ? And then I would answer my own question. Well, the sooner she gets to finding herself out of her system, the sooner she'll be back. But we already talked about how he didn't actually want her to be back. So that seems like a false persona that he's putting forth. That's fucked up, man, Charlie said. Tell me about it, I said. I glanced over at him. He looked scared. Relax, man. I'm just going to go talk to the girl. And it'll be quick. I'm leaving for Chicago on the red eye. I shouldn't have told you, Charlie said. And it'll be quick. Oh, no, man, you did the right thing. It's exactly what I needed. Something to shake me up. Shit's been eating away at me. And it's got to stop. I want to get on with my fucking life. And I've got to get under control. You should have let the lawyers handle it. Fuck the lawyers. You know what divorce lawyers are? They're the scum of the earth, preying on people at their weakest and the most vulnerable. I know. I've gone through those scumbags. Millions of dollars already. Maybe they owe you then. Fuck them, I think. I'm going to take care of this myself. I'm going to take care of this myself. See what comments I have missed here. Someone else did it. It's a great whodunit case. Yeah. Janetta is a talker. That's okay. So am I. Yeah, I appreciate your point of view. I do. It's nice that we have people with different points of view to add. I like that a lot. Yeah, court case report reading by Salty Bird. Awesome. Thank you. I'm actually reading If I Did It, Chapter 6, The Night in Question. Thank you for the A+ at the reading. Kenneth Wright. I joined the stream. You didn't bring me up. Oh, welcome, Kenneth Wright. Welcome. Sorry we missed that. So happy you were here in the stream. Yeah, I thought we talked to you a little bit earlier. I'm glad that you're back. All right. Her cat says, for anyone that wants to get at a perspective of what it is like to live with a TBI or CTE, watch Jacob's Ladder with Tim Robbins. Interesting. Calling in now. Cool. I don't have your call in yet. Oh, what? Why am I seeing Shawnetta was banned and comments were removed? What happened? What just happened? Hey, Mama, do you know? Do you know why she got banned? Their comments were removed, so I can't tell. I don't know. Can't imagine she said anything that bad. She's been a great participant. Okay. So let me know when you're in. I don't see the call in. I don't see anybody calling in. Yeah, nothing yet. Oh yeah, here you are. Okay, gathering voices, adding you to the stage.
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, hey, we're doing great. We're having a lot of fun here with this.
You have a great group in there. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Now, some of the comments that have come up have been very, very controversial, and I put some comments out there that have been controversial intentionally to stir dialogue with your group, and I appreciate it. I wanted to tell you that I actually have a story about a realtor named Jack who murdered his wife. I think it would be a great one to. Yeah, I think it'd be a great one to do on the show. You know Jack, don't you?
Oh, you're such a goof. You're such a goof. I do. And I believe his life is well and alive and well.
I'm so glad that that I found this podcast. It's really exciting. You do interesting stories, and you've got cool people on here. Like who's Lotus? Lotus Blossom always has great comments, and I mean, so does everybody. Real Justice. I mean, I think you should do a collaborative effort with Real Justice. Maybe get on the split screen.
And Shanetta too. What just happened with her? She got kicked out suddenly and banned.
Yeah, but you didn't do that. I thought the moderator.
No, I didn't do that.
Well, she didn't say anything that would get her banned.
No, I didn't do it either. I was like, what just happened? Weird.
Oh. Yeah, that's too bad.
I definitely didn't do that. Okay, we have Kenneth Wright also who would like to do a call in.
All right, Kenneth, go for it. Thanks, Jen. You're doing great. You got a great show here. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Thanks. All right, Kenneth, you are up on stage. Hey, how are you tonight?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. First of all, thanks for bringing me up. It's actually a good show. It's very entertaining.
I'm happy to hear it. Really happy to hear it.
That's So I was the one that said that I didn't feel that Simpson did what he's been accused of doing. I'm trying to watch my words, because of YouTube algorithms. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I just based on all the information I came across. I know you're reading a book, the If I Did It book. I mean, I typed in the chat. I really felt he did that for money. He stressed many a time that it's hypothetical. It's my understanding that that book was done by a ghostwriter. So, I mean, one thing you were talking about earlier, which I actually agree with, I think somebody said, well, if he did do what he's been accused of, why does he look like, I guess he was, jovial, happy, all that stuff like that? And you said, well, he's an actor, so he can pull that off, which I agree with, and I do feel that OJ Simpson is a narcissist. But then by the same token, when it comes to the interview this interview that you have right here on the screen, why can't you also take into consideration that he just might be acting as well?
Well, I can, but I can hypothetically go there and just hypothetically ask myself, why would somebody do that? And then if they did that, is this what it would look like? So is this an authentic version of just acting?
Yeah, I think it might be some satire and some some legitimacy to some of the stuff he was saying. I mean, like I said, I do think he was arrogant. I think he a lot of things he did to his ex-wife Nicole was wrong. Even his first wife as well. So I mean, he was a jerk. But just some of the reasons why, just the timeline just never really worked for me. Listening to watching the case, the timeline is really, you're asking a lot for one person to do in a span of like 20 minutes. I mean,
he's going to try to tell us how he did all of that all at once, and it's a stretch. It is, but
I'm familiar with the book and this interview that you're doing. I'm a OJ Simpson. Did he do it or did he not? Junkie. I mean, it's almost like it's a movie. I mean, there is so many twists and turns, and real talk. I could see why, obviously, if people could say that he did it, and but me myself personally, just based on the evidence, I just could not, without a shadow of a doubt, say that he did it. I think it's my point. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's I always feel a little bit heartened when I talk to people who can imagine being jurors and given it some thought and would say, the person might be guilty, but I would need to hit that very high standard, right? And I don't think this would hit it. I have a lot of respect for that kind of.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, I know you're doing your show. I don't want to, hog up all the time. I appreciate. Are you? So is this like a reoccurring thing? I mean, I know you're not going to do this book the whole, tonight, are you?
No, we're just doing the chapter tonight. Although we might only get halfway through it because it's long and it's kind of late. Maybe we'll just do chapter 6 first half.
Oh, okay.
Because we've been doing an episode per chapter.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm definitely going to subscribe and listen in. Like I said, I'm a big OJ fan. Well, not OJ fan, but this whole situation. I mean, it's unfortunate. Let me, I should have started by saying, what happened to, and I think Ron Goldman never really gets the acknowledgement that whatever was happening, he just wasn't happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But I feel bad for what happened to them, the children involved. So yeah, but I appreciate you bringing me up. I really do. You have a nice night.
You too. Thanks for coming on. All right.
Bye.
So, okay, that was fun. Definitely fun. If anybody else wants to call in, feel free. Okay. So, where were we at? She wanted to know if anyone. Okay. The audiograph part is skipped too far forward. Ooh, it's just jumped out at me. Charlie took a step back, like he thought I might hit him or something. A couple of these guys at dinner tonight, I guess they didn't know that you and I were friends, and he began tripping over his words. They started talking about how this little trip that they took to Cabo San Lucas months back, and in March, I think it was, and about the girls that they partied with. Charlie took a moment. It was Nicole and her friend Faye. I'm going to take this off the screen. It was Nicole and her friend Faye. I'm listening, I said, as I tried to stay calm, and I was fit to explode. There was a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, and apparently things got pretty kinky. Where's chat? Oh, the whole chat history just disappeared for me. Weird. Okay. If anybody's sending comments, suddenly I am not seeing them. You guys able to leave them? Odd. They all went blank. Okay. So there are a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, and apparently things get pretty kinky. Why are you fucking telling me this, man? I hollered. I turned and had to fight the urge to put my fist through the Bentley's window. I'm so sorry, man. I thought you'd want to know. Well, I don't want to know. I'm sick of hearing this shit. I'm sorry. This is the mother of my children. I know, man. I'm sorry. That's why I told you. I thought you two have been through a lot of this shit, and I know it can't be easy, so I thought maybe if you just talk to her. Talk to her? What the fuck is wrong with you? I've been trying to talk to her for years. She won't listen to me. She won't listen to her family. She won't listen to her friends. OJ, man, I'm not the enemy here. I turned around, fuming, and tried to count to 10. I didn't make it. By the time I got to 3, I realized that Charlie was right. He wasn't the enemy. Nicole was the enemy. Wow. I looked up at my watch. I had less than an hour before the limo showed up to take me to my apartment. Just enough time to drive down to Bundy, read her the fucking riot act, and get my ass back to the house. Come on, I said. I moved toward the Bronco. Where are we going? Just come. Charlie got in. I started the Bronco and the gate whirred to life, and I pulled them into the street, the tires squeaking against the curb. Where are we going, OJ? Charlie repeated. We're going to scare the shit out of those girls. So her husband, she went to for safety. What now? It never fucking ends. Every time I turn around, it's some new thing, and some of it's petty. This isn't a good idea, OJ. Fuck that. I'm tired of being the understanding ex-husband. I have my kids to think about. I'm asking you, man, please turn around. The woman's going to be the death of me, I said, and I was seething by now, and I began to mimic her. I want to grow as a person, OJ. I want to find myself. I'm tired of everyone seeing me as OJ Simpson's wife. I'm tired of living in your footsteps, in your shadow. OJ, please. You want to know how crazy it gets? I said, ignoring him. After the split, after she dumped me, she began calling me to tell me about the guys she was dating. Oh, OJ, do you think they like me for me or just to get into my pants? And you know what I did? I told her to go have fun. I told her that She was a great girl, and not to worry and go with her gut. Guys will be lining up around the block for you, I said. You're gorgeous and you're smart. Now you know you'll pick the right guys. Is that twisted or what? I would think, what the fuck are you doing, OJ? And then I would answer my own question. Well, the sooner she gets this fucking finding herself out of her system, the sooner she'll be back. So I'm kind of tripping out about why the comments are all gone. Oh, there they are. I got them back. Okay, here we go. I see them now. Let's go review. Does anybody know what happened with Shawnetta and why she got booted? I'm glad you got back, Shawnetta. You were just suddenly gone. We couldn't figure it out. That was weird. Welcome back. Kat, we do have a mod. Tipton Mama is the mod, but she has not figured out full access yet. But yeah, the channel is classy people, and I feel like we're a really great group. We have disagreements, but keep it classy, right? Welcome wagon. Everybody cares. Lots of welcomes. Okay. Gathering voices. I thought that YouTube did that based on some comment that she made. I think that she is fantastic and love having her as a part of our group. It seemed like something YouTube automatically did, but I couldn't figure out what possibly could have been it. Yeah, we do too. Well, since you're back, we won't protest. Hi, I'm a dude. I'm so sorry that Shanetta made me assume. So I will be, so you prefer, your preferred pronouns are he and his. Okay. All right, cool. Respect. I'll try to get that right. It confuses everyone. They all think I'm a big fat black woman. Me included. Confused, I mean. It's really funny. Gathering voices is just okay. Where was gathering voices? Guys are funny. Okay. Thanks at gathering. Why I'm beautiful. Yeah. Are you going to show those pictures? I'm ready for bed, but would enjoy discussing them. I'm pretty much ready for bed too. So I guess I wanted to get a little more into something kind of meaty before we just close up for the night. But maybe we need to just pick up part 2 of chapter 6 tomorrow. Maybe. So we get to all the rest of the meat. Like this was good. This is a good start. And so that sounds like something we could do. All right, I'm gonna share this screen only and share. Oh, actually, I think I can share these on my screen maybe. Okay, hang on. And I'm falling asleep, you guys. I'll admit it. I'm really, really sleepy. So I think I've hit about the end of my line. Downloads. It would be one of these movie files. Is it this? Oh. That is not it. Okay, sorry. Well, since I have this up, this is the SWAT incident the Gathering Voices sent. What is going on here with the video? Okay, no worries, Fernetta. We can do it next time. I will wait. Okay, commentary now. Oh, this is happening now in later.
I just wasn't good, but I love it.
All fun and games. The planes crashed. They did. No, it did. But I mean, you can tell.
Right now.
It's a good story. I mean, not everybody can be there.
Nicole, now 30.
Oops, not what I meant to do.
You're seeing an overhead aerial shot of the.
I'm just too tired to use buttons anymore. Sorry. Is this it? Yeah. Did you figure out what's happening? What?
Yeah.
Burning. Oh my goodness.
Hey, thanks.
Such a quiet town normally.
Feel better.
Thanks for coming out.
That's a surprise over here if you're looking for a van.
That was the most polite swatting I've ever seen. Okay, Shanetta's out for the night. Can't wait to discuss more trials I've attended. Got other stories, kids. All right, good night. Good night. I'll save the photos for next time. And maybe we'll pick this up tomorrow on Saturday. Why not? Maybe we'll pick it up tomorrow when we have some more energy and can and aren't all falling asleep. This is good stuff. And personally, I'm falling asleep. Let's see. Yeah, we should all call it a night. 9:30. We're so old. It's only Friday. It's only 9:30 at Pacific time anyway. Peace out. All right. Well, in that case, while you guys chat for a little bit, I will ask you one more time. If you're still here, if you have not yet had a chance, please like and subscribe. Then I will leave this live for a few minutes, which is what I tried to do last time, and play a little bit of music so y'all can chat, and we can talk about the next one. I think it's probably going to be tomorrow. So there's your warning. I'll put something up tomorrow, and maybe a little earlier in the day. I'll have to figure that out after I get some sleep. So, peace. Stay salty.